right, let's bring you the next discussion now. Persons living with disabilities will not be disenfranchised in any way or form during the general election. And that is the assurance coming from the staples of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, as Nigerians head to the polls tomorrow.
Yes, indeed. And INEC has charged persons living with disabilities on active participation in this election, as well as, asking them to offer themselves for political positions in subsequent elections. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari recently signed into law the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Bill. Now, the law prohibits all forms of discrimination against persons living with disabilities, with fines and jail terms attached to any form of violation of the law. Okay, we have joining us from Abuja the Executive Director for Citizens with Disabilities, David Anyele. Good morning and thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Now, tell us, since the disability law was signed, the bill was signed into law by the president, how much difference really has this made in terms of the general perception of persons living with disabilities as far as the issue of inclusion, whether it's in the electoral process or other processes? How is this affecting the mindset so far?
Yeah. All over Nigeria, people with disabilities are excited. There is a law that protects them to participate in the electoral process on equal basis with others. In specific, the law provides that people with disabilities should participate in the electoral process. As such, all over Nigeria, people with disabilities are looking forward to go out tomorrow to test all the promises made by INEC in terms of their participation during election. Recognizing that a lot of engagements has gone on all over these years between 2015 and today in trying to lead INEC to appreciate what equal voting access for persons with disabilities is all about. INEC on their part also have made different promises in area of PWD participation. As such, with the advent of this law and the election tomorrow, people with disabilities are looking forward to participate.
All right, talking about participation of the PWDs in the election process, I see you are one of the election observers. Can you break it down to the specifics? What role INEC has decided to give to PWDs to be part of this process?
Yeah, you will recognize that early last year, we conducted a survey on the level of INEC preparedness for the 2019 general election for providing for people with disabilities. We discovered that issues around awareness and sensitization has not gone really deep as at 2017-2018. However, with the level of engagement at different rec offices across Nigeria involving people with disabilities, explaining to them on their provisions they are going to make, engaging organizations of persons with disabilities, leading them on what they have in stock for them and what they should be doing during the election. These are the things we are expected to observe as election observers during the election. Recognizing that Center for Citizens with Disabilities is already accredited as an election observer, we are deploying in 7 states and Abuja. These are to look at what are available in terms of access to polling unit, which sometimes hinders persons people with physical disabilities. Their struggle to access polling units. We're also going to be looking at whether there is availability of braille materials for the blind, as well as sign language interpreters or electoral process written in a pasted at the polling unit in such a way that an average deaf person will be able to understand what his or her role is. Also, we're also going to understand the level of provision or prioritization of people with disabilities in terms of giving them priority voting, because INEC promised that they are going to ensure that there is a priority voting for people with disabilities. So these are some of the things we are going to be looking at the polls.
And I'm curious about what you are observing so far in the build-up to the election, of course, that comes up tomorrow and March the 2nd. What are you seeing so far that gives you confidence that truly PWDs will not be left behind in concrete terms?
Yeah, what gives us these assurances is that the current leadership of INEC have made effort to include or mainstream disability issues in his work since his emergence as INEC chair, recognizing that INEC have developed a framework on person with disabilities participation in election. Training has also been conducted at different states, at different zones for INEC desk officers responsible for persons with disabilities. It is our expectation that all this training, all this sensitization, all this public comment and assurances will be made manifest tomorrow during the election. We have also seen the INEC chair coming out explaining in critical terms that people with disabilities will be given priority voting. So these are some of the things we want all Nigerians to join us to appreciate the level of priority given to persons with disabilities by presiding officers at the election. Okay. We also use this opportunity to call on Nigerians to recognize that people with disabilities are coming out to vote, and they should equally be accorded this priority voting as promised by INEC, which is also in consonance with the provisions of the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act.
All right. INEC has actually assured that there will be separate queues for PWDs at the at the polling unit where they are supposed to vote, different from male and female, where culture and religion may not allow that they mix together, which is a good development. But apart from that, if we have to narrow it down to the specifics, the polling booth itself, where the thumb printing or the fingerprinting of ballot papers will be taking place, if you check the height of it, is all equal, is the same thing. I don't know whether you are concerned that maybe there are no separate or different ones created or designed for persons who may not have the ability to be that tall to have access to using the polling booth. Then besides that, also the issue of persons who don't have limbs, when it comes to thumb printing, how are they going to use that? Or they have to call someone to do that for them?
Yeah, we've all raised this issue before INEC in the past, recognizing I'm one of the people without limbs or finger to do this thumb printing. INEC have made provision to ensure that such individuals coming to vote are given some level of support to ensure that they participate during the election. Training is also going on by INEC in terms of their ad hoc staff, leading them on what to do in such situations. In terms of the voting cubicle, all we are asking INEC to do is to position it in such a way that even if you are coming on wheelchair, you will be able to reach out to it without exposing yourself to danger. What we have seen in the past is that INEC positioned the voting cubicle, across gutter across on top of staircases where individual, if you're on wheelchair or on crutches, you will struggle much more to access. So we are asking INEC that this voting cubicle should be positioned in a flat space where individuals with disability or person who are on crutches or wheelchair will be able to reach close to the voting cubicle and be able to thumbprint.
But of course, we know about 20 million or so Nigerians are indeed persons living with disabilities. Do you have any kind of data in your work so far to give some kind of guide as to the number of persons living with disability that may turn up at the election? And of course, the disabilities do vary. I wonder how confident you are that INEC really can meet each of these different levels of disability when it comes to the polls.
Yeah, if you look at people with disabilities in Nigeria, it's estimated that more than 25 million Nigerians are living with one form of disability or the other. National Population Commission states that more than 61% of people with disabilities are 18 years and above. So what that means is that people with disabilities that are expected to vote are very high. And they are living with different forms of disability. There are some of disabilities that you can see physical. There are some you cannot even see by reason of that type of disability, especially when it has to do with sensory disabilities. Therefore, what we requested INEC to do is to expose their ad hoc staff, is to expose their system to all forms of disability so that when such individuals appear at the polling units, they will be able to recognize them. They will be able to appreciate them. They will be able to ensure that they are not undermined, they are not discriminated. Because it is not all people with disabilities are on wheelchair. It's not all persons with disabilities are on crutches. It's also all persons with disabilities that are blind. However, some of the areas they have also indicated a lot of work have been done is the issue of braille ballot. That is specifically for the blind. And we are also saying that beyond the blind voters, efforts should be made to recognize that other people with different forms of disabilities are also coming. And Nigerians should equally appreciate that these individuals are coming to the poll and be able to support them and ensure that they participate in this election.
All right. David Anyele, Executive Director, Center for Citizens with Disabilities, thank you for talking to us this morning.
All right.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you very much. Obviously, based on everything he said, PWDs will not be left behind. And like he said, tomorrow will be a true test of
INEC's readiness, yes, to incorporate them in the system.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a short breather, and when we come back, we'll go down memory lane, or history, if you like. How far, so far, as far as our democratic experience or trajectory is concerned. Stay with us.